Recording.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, how you doing?
Oh, doing pretty good here.
Good. So we're just gonna let people filter in here a little bit and see if anybody else joins us. As you know, Tom, I think you know we're recording these conversations now. So every once in a while, I'll pop over and be able to wave at you and check in. But anybody who doesn't want to be in a recording on YouTube, you can turn your cameras off. If you're okay being on a recording on YouTube, then leave them on. That's great. I just kind of wanted to put that out there as we start recording these, finally for publication later.
I take my royalties in Chinese dinners.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure everything that I get paid, I will definitely pass forward. So, when YouTube starts writing me checks, because I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I'll just start handing out, making it rain pennies in here. 50 cents at a time, 25 cents at a time, however that works. We're taking a brief pause from our Power Wheels car project because we're going to do an egg drop competition here at the Makerspace in 3 weeks. So not next week, but the week after that. We're going to do an egg drop competition here at the Milwaukee Makerspace, the Norwich building. So we're going to model some eggs this week and maybe talk about some other little tricks that we can use in Fusion in order to aid in our egg drop machinery building. And other than that, I pipe up if you got questions, obviously. Has anybody started an egg drop design already or have an idea for an egg drop design? Either you guys at home or you guys here in class? No? All right, cool. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. So, it's after 7. We can go ahead and get the ball rolling. You can see I've got special edition Model Monday, drop it like it's hard boiled, modeling here. Cue the Snoop Dogg music because I cannot play it because YouTube would delete me from the internet. All right, so I'm going to start a new document here. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the plus icon in my tabs of Fusion 360 here that says New Design. We're going to use the tools here that we're going to use in order to model our egg are going to be the insert canvas command here. So some of us may or may not have used that insert canvas command, but we're gonna start by inserting a canvas, and this canvas is going to be a picture of our egg. I have an egg that I'm going to share with you guys via Google Chat here. So those of you at home, and actually, it'd be super helpful if you guys, you could find a picture of an egg on the internet while I'm kind of talking. You could go to the Google and find a picture of an egg, and I suppose you can do that at home too. You can find a picture of an egg on the internet and download it to your desktop, because we're going to be pulling that for use. After we've got our attached canvas, we're going to draw over the top of it with kind of our standard drawing tools, and then we're going to revolve it. So those are going to kind of be the steps here that make our egg, just to kind of give you an overview or a little preview of the tools that we're going to use here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and find a picture of an egg. So if I come over here and come over to my Google search and I look for egg here, I've got one pulled up already through Cooking Magic. I've already found a picture of an egg, and I have right-clicked on it and saved it to my desktop. So now once you've got your egg picture, were you guys able to find a picture of an egg satisfactorily? Yeah? Once you've got a picture of an egg saved on your desktop, the way that you're going to, and tell you what, let me throw this picture into chat here just so you guys joining us at home Let's see, can I just find that and drop it into chat? Sure can. There's my egg. Nope, it just opens up there. That's not what I want to do. How do I attach? Guess I can't attach a picture. I thought I could attach a picture in chat, but I guess I cannot. More options? No. Alright, you guys are, I think you're on your own as far as finding an egg. A picture of an egg goes. Because apparently I cannot send pictures. Activities, host controls, meeting details. Nope, can't send a picture. Alright. So, find a picture of an egg. Like I said, Google it. Here's a picture right here. And once you've got your egg, in order to insert it into our drawing, we're going to go ahead and use the insert menu. So if we click on the insert menu here and scroll down to canvas. So we'll do insert, and then we'll choose that we're going to insert a canvas here. Now it opens up this window, and what we want to do is we want to insert from my computer here, because we just saved that image to our computers. And then I'll open up a window and I can locate where I saved that. For me, it's on my desktop. For you, it'll be wherever you choose to save your egg picture to. And we're going to go ahead and say open. Now we've got our attached canvas window here, and we've got our image selected. For me, it's called egg JPEG. And now we just need to pick the face that we want to put that canvas on. So I'm going to hover over my little drawing window here, and I can choose any one of these surfaces to put the canvas on, and it'll go ahead and place that egg JPEG picture there. Now I've got this widget here that I can use to control the placement and also the size and rotation of this canvas. So these little arrows will let me move this egg back and forth, and also up and down here. There's also like rotation that I can do here, so I can spin it around. I don't really care a whole lot about that. What I do want to do is scale it up a little bit. So if I zoom in, it's a little bit bigger here. And now this little thing, this little side corner piece, I can click and drag and scale it up. Now, it doesn't really matter how big we scale this right now. You just want to make it big enough so you can see it. So you just need it large enough that it's visible, because we're going to calibrate this image to the appropriate size in just a second. So once it's scaled up so I can see it easily, then I can say OK. Now you can see over here we've got a canvas folder, or canvases folder here in our browser, and I can spin that down and see that we've got this attached canvas right here labeled egg. If you wanted to, this is probably labeled whatever the name of the JPEG file that you inserted was. However, you can rename that. So if you downloaded something from the internet and it's got some weird name, like the date of the photo that was taken or something like that, you can always rename that here. For me, egg is just fine. Now we want to calibrate that to be an appropriate size, because right now it is not scaled appropriately, and we want a nice precise egg here. And the way we calibrate this image to be the appropriate size is by right-clicking on it and then clicking this calibrate option here. So if I click on this calibrate option, what it lets me do is to place 2 points on this egg. So I'm going to place a point right at the top of my egg, and then I'm going to place a second point right at the very bottom of my egg here. And now, between those points, it gives a dimension. Through the power of cooking magic here, I measured an egg, and the egg that I measured happened to be exactly 2.3175 inches. Feel free to convert that from freedom units to the metric system or to whatever international standard you choose. So it is exactly 2.3175 freedom units if you're drawing in inches. And now, once I've got that unit entered, I can push enter. Are you guys following at home?
A little behind you here. I'm still trying to get the egg on my canvas.
Oh, okay, cool. Where are you at, Tom? Can I help you catch up?
Yeah, okay. I've got the canvas. I've grabbed the image file.
Okay.
Select face of the plane I want to go on.
Yep.
I click on that. And now what do I do?
So now once you've got the face selected, you'll be at this stage right here. So you can still see your edit feature or your attach canvas window there, and you can see all these same widgets that I can see.
Oh boy, I'm not that far. I'm at a very different point. Okay. Okay, I'll just go on. Maybe I'll catch up here.
Sure, yeah. So after I after I attach my canvas and I chose where it was here,
Right.
then I picked the plane that I'm going to draw it on, which is this guy right here. And now I've got
Okay,
these
that's right.
arrows that I can move it around and I can scale it up. Are you at that stage?
Yes, but I don't see any egg is the problem.
Oh, so you've got something chosen in the image window here?
I just imported an image. Let me get back to where you are here. I think I'm just going to share my present.
All right, cool. So I'll keep going then. Unless, yeah.
Could you recap how you do the calibrate? I just got it on my screen.
I sure can. Yeah. So in order to calibrate this canvas that I just attached here, I spin down my little canvases folder over in my browser, and then I right-click on where it says egg. For me, it says egg. For you, it'll be whatever is the file name for the image that you brought in. And then when I right-click on it, I can choose this calibrate option here, which is the third option from the top.
Okay.
And now I can pick 2 points on my egg and specify a distance between them. So for me, I chose to measure my egg from top to bottom. So I clicked and placed 1 point at the top of my egg, and now I'm going to move my mouse down. It's not a click and drag, it's a click and move. And now I'm going to move my mouse down, and I'm going to click and place the second point of my measurement tool, and then it kind of gives me a distance in between there.
How big was your egg?
My egg was 2.3175.
2.3175?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, so now that that's calibrated, you can always go and change that measurement later. So you can always recalibrate that once you measure your egg at home, because you will definitely not be dropping the exact same egg I'm dropping. You will be dropping whatever egg you're dropping, because who knows if my egg will make it to the ground and will be able to transfer over into your contraption. All right. So now that we've got our canvas attached here, now we can start drawing things. So we've got kind of a, let's say, template that we can draw over the top of here. So we can use our standard sketching tools. So if I go up here to the Create menu and I choose Create Sketch, and I'm going to create my sketch on the same plane that I put my canvas on. So for me it was this front plane here, but you can kind of spin it around and tell which plane it is. And now we can start creating our sketch here. So we only need to draw half of this egg, because what we're going to do is we're going to mirror, or we're going to revolve our egg around a central axis. So I'm going to start by drawing that central axis. So I'm going to grab my line tool, I'm going to come up here to Create, and then click on Line. And I'm going to draw a central axis right from the very top of the egg all the way to the furthest point at the very bottom of the egg. Now it doesn't matter the angle that this line is at. Chances are it will be not directly 90 degrees, right? Because it's going to be whatever top to bottom in that photo that we brought in. So the egg was not perfectly aligned in that photo, so it won't be perfectly aligned when we sketch on top of it here. So I'm going to draw one line from top to bottom. I'm going to click the little checkbox there. Then I'm going to draw the curves of my egg using our Spline tool. So if I come up to the Create menu and choose Spline and then Fit Point Spline. Spline is a great way to draw a compound curve. So a compound curve is a curve that's made up of more than one radius. And if you've ever used like the pen tool in Photoshop, the Spline tool is very similar to the pen tool in Photoshop or the pen tool in Illustrator. It's got a very similar feel to it. So I'm going to grab my Spline tool, and the first place I'm going to click is I'm going to snap to the end point, either the top or the bottom of my egg. So I'm going to hover over the top of my egg until I get that little blue rectangle that pops up, and I'm going to click there to place the start of my spline. And now I'm going to click and place several points along the edge of my egg here. I'm just kind of tracing. So as I place the first point and start to place my second point, you can start to see a curve form. I find that the better splines, or easier to work with splines, have less points in them. So you kind of want to make a spline with the least amount of points possible. For me, I got like a 4-point spline going on here, not including the first point. But we're just kind of click and place points on our spline until we get all the way down to the bottom of our egg. And then hover over that end point of that line one more time until we get that little blue box that appears over it. And click to place the last point of our spline. Now, to finish making a spline, we have to hit the little checkbox here. So with a line, you can hit Enter, or you can hit Escape. I think that with a curve that works as well. With a spline tool, you really got to hover over this green checkbox and say, hey, I'm done making that spline. So this is why I say it's very similar to the pen tool in Photoshop, because we have these similar control points now along our spline that I can now edit. So my line, or my spline, does not really exactly line up with the edge of my egg, but if I hit the Escape key, so I currently still have my Spline tool, if I hit the Escape key, it'll put that Spline tool away. And now I've just got my pointer, and I can take these control points and I can kind of manipulate them a little bit. I can drag them in and out until my line really nicely conforms to the edge of my egg. In addition to moving these control points around, I can also move the points themselves. So I can take this point and I can move it down or move it in, and really get a nice edge, or a nice conforming edge on my egg. Something to note is, in order to make sure we don't have a point at the ends of our line here, I can make sure I can use a constraint. So just like we use constraints when we're making lines, for the line itself we can add constraints. We can also add constraints that apply to these control bars here. So this control bar, in order to not have a point when I revolve this control bar has to be perpendicular, a 90-degree angle to this central axis here. And I can do that by adding a constraint here. So if I come up to my constraints menu and I choose the perpendicular constraint, how come it's grayed out? That's interesting. No, it's not grayed out. So constraints, and I choose perpendicular. Now I can click on my central axis, and then I can click on this line down here, this control line, and now that's a perpendicular line here. So now these two, when I revolve this around, I won't have like a little corner down here at the bottom of my egg. I'm going to come up and do that the same thing on my top. So I'll zoom in here so it's nice and big so you guys can see. I'll click on this control point just to make it conform nicely to the edge of my egg here. And then I'll click on the constraints menu and I'll choose this perpendicular option. And then again, I'll specify the central line of my egg. And then I'll also specify this control bar here. And now I've got this little tangent constraint that pops up showing I'm sorry, not tangent constraint, perpendicular constraint that pops up that shows that this line is exactly perpendicular to that line there. All right, are you guys good? Do you have a nicely drawn spline?
I'd like to show you where I've got into.
Sure, yeah. Do you want to share your screen, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Share. Okay, I've tried importing it a few times, and I don't know what I've done wrong here.
Yeah, so let's take a look. So you've got your canvas there. So zoom in a little bit. So I can see you've got some arrows going on there. What are all those little dots? That's weird. So try clicking cancel.
Okay.
So now let's go up to the insert menu and choose attach canvas.
Attach canvas.
Yeah, canvas, yeah.
Okay. And now I go to my desktop.
All right, yep.
Insert from my computer. I hit egg. I say open.
And then you pick what surface you want to put that on.
I want to go on this surface.
And now if you zoom in there, there you go. So you have to expand it and make it bigger. So one of those little control points that you get is kind of a scale.
Mm-hmm. I think it grabbed the wrong area here, but okay, there we go.
So we need to kind of scale it up so it's big enough to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still not
Now what have I
seeing
done wrong? Right.
seeing the picture.
Unless it was a file format that it didn't like. So
Could be. Is it? Do you know what kind of image it is?
I think it was a WEB.
Oh,
Uh, let me see here.
yeah, I found a JPEG image.
Properties. Oh, it says it's a JPEG.
So let's try doing it one more time, and instead let's try not scaling it up this time. So I think maybe you're not clicking on the right part of the scale there. So click cancel again.
Mm-hmm. And I'll knock this out of here.
Yeah, and then go up to insert and then canvas again.
Yes, yeah.
And then
Insert from my computer.
yeah, and then find your image.
Open.
And then yeah, pick
select
your
the face.
face there that you want to put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of messing around with any of those sizes, just say click on OK over in the side there.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And now we need to kind of, you have a canvases folder now, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and there's definitely an image inside of that canvases folder if you spin down the little triangle next to it.
Yeah, it says. Spin down the little triangle next to it.
Up in your browser,
Okay.
on the kind of left-hand side of the screen, where you would normally have your
Oh, yeah, yeah,
sketches.
yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. Yeah, and there's definitely an image there. So
Okay.
I feel like if you right-click on something over there.
Edit canvas, calibrate.
It actually doesn't do that. So now you should be able to zoom in and find that image. I mean, in theory, it's in your drawing now, and you just need to locate where it is
Mm-hmm.
and zoom into it.
So if I go up where where it says my views are, and I hit home, that should bring me right into the center, correct?
Right, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna click on that. And I still don't see anything.
Try turning on can you turn on your origin over in your browser?
Origin. Okay.
So now it should be right near the center of that origin. So you should be able to zoom into that point. I think you're zooming out.
Okay.
There you go. Now you're probably zooming in.
Okay, I'm not sure what to say at this point.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. Or where it's popping up.
Okay.
Down in the bottom there in your timeline, can you right click on that item in your timeline and say edit
Okay.
canvas?
Edit canvas. X distances are like negative, I don't know, like 2 million meters or something.
The distances?
Yeah.
Set them all to 0.
And then I hit OK.
Do you see it in there now?
I see absolutely. Can you see my screen?
I can, yeah. Yeah, I don't see it in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Try that again. See where your distances are set at.
Okay, go at 8. Oh, I'm sorry. Go down to the browser and right click. And you said edit feature?
Yeah, edit feature or edit canvas.
Okay, I'm getting all sorts of numbers. Apparently it didn't take my zeros.
Yeah, try zeroing that out again.
I just, back click, enter 0. Whoops. Yeah, it seems to be, it won't let me change the X, Y, and Z angle.
I wonder if you need to, like, quit Fusion and reopen it again. Maybe you're having a weird Fusion issue.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that. No problem.
Alright, and while you quit and reopen, and I can always come back to you at the end of class here too, Tom, and see where you're at.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to my screen here. Alright, so we've got our canvas in, hopefully. And did anybody else have an issue bringing in a canvas and attaching it? No? Mike, you're good?
I got it on the screen.
Okay, cool. All right, so we've drawn around our shape here, and when we last left, we were just kind of making sure that these were perpendicular here, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on Finish Sketch. So now we've got our sketch made, and now we just need to revolve it. So in order to revolve our sketch, and maybe I'll mention, like a second way to do this would be to like measure the height of your egg, right? So we know the height of our egg is we know the height of our egg. If I hit the dimension key and kind of force it to be off at the right angle here, we know the exact height of our egg is 2.3175. And we could also, give a width of our egg too. So we could measure our egg. If you can't get our attached canvas to work right, we could measure our egg's width and then enter another dimension for the width of our egg, and then kind of use our spline curves to kind of match those dimensions if you can't get your canvas to attach right. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Sketch here. And now we've got our fully enclosed shape that we can revolve. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my Create menu and come down to the Revolve option. And if I go ahead and click on Revolve here, now I can specify the profile that I want to revolve, which is this enclosed shape that we just made here. And then I can specify the axis that we're going to revolve that around, which is that vertical line that we made. And now I'm making this a new body. So in the operation here in my revolve window, I'm making this a new body as opposed to joining it to an existing one or using it to cut away from something. And the angle here is set to full. So I'm revolving it a full 360 degrees. I could revolve this just a certain angle, so I could revolve it just 180 degrees if I wanted to. But I'm going to revolve this a full 360 degrees. So I'm just going to set this angle type to full. And then I'll click on OK. So I always like to name my sketches and name my bodies. I think it's a good practice to be in. So I've got a sketches folder here after I finished my sketches. So let's do a little housekeeping here. So I can click once on the sketch and then pause and then click again. And that allows me to rename this sketch. This is my egg shape. Any name is better than sketch 1, so try to get in this habit. My body here, I'm going to go ahead and name this my egg, because that's what it is right now. Now I don't really need this canvas anymore, so I can hide it and get it out of the way. And I also don't really need this sketch right now, so I can also hide my sketch just by clicking on this little eyeball icon and making that go away as well. So here it is. We got our egg. And that's kind of the main point of this first class here, was to kind of like get our egg shape drawn, right? In order to model whatever kind of egg drop mechanism, we first need to have our egg shape. And now I kind of want to go over some things that we can do with this egg shape, right? So, you know, let's say for our egg drop, we wanted to create a box that this egg would fit in, right? We need to have something, we need to put this egg inside of something, and maybe we want to fill that box with a bunch of padding or something like that, right? We could do that pretty easily. So if I come up here to the Create menu and I choose this box option here, so if I pick box, and now I specify a plane, it's kind of unusual to think about putting a box on a plane, but I can specify a plane that I'm going to kind of start this box on. So I'm going to pick any plane, and now I'm going to place the center point of my box kind of near the center of my egg here. So, oh, actually this is a corner, I'm sorry. So I'm going to place the corner kind of off to the side. And, you know, just kind of a tip, the reason I knew that I was placing a corner and not a center point is because I just stopped moving my mouse for a second. And Fusion is full of these tool tips, right? So this is really handy. It tells me what I'm supposed to be doing. So what I'm supposed to be doing here is placing the first corner of my box. So I'm going to go ahead and place the first corner of my box somewhere up here. And then I'm going to come over to the other side and say, like, I'm going to make this a 3-inch box. So if I type in 3 and then I hit the Tab key, and let's just go ahead and make it a 3 by 3. So I hit the Tab key to bounce between measurements, between vertical and horizontal measurements of this square that we're making. And then when I'm done making this square portion, I can hit the Enter key, and now I'm hit with a third measurement, which is the height in my case. It might be width in your case, but I'm going to make this 3 inches as well. Now the default here is changing to an operation of cut, but we actually don't want to make an operation of cut here. We don't want to use this volume that we're creating in order to cut away from our egg. We actually want to make this a brand new body. So I'm going to go ahead and specify new body there. And then I'm going to say OK. Now right now our egg is not inside of our box, and we really want our egg to be inside of our box. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the Move tool. So if I come up here to Modify and then choose Move, I can either specify the body that I want to move out here in my drawing view, or I can specify the body in my bodies folder that I want to move, and then I can specify an axis that I want to move it on, or I can choose these various move types here. So if I have this free move option selected, it lets me move it over in any amount, and because that I know that plane was right in the middle, that box plane that I was choosing to make was right in the middle of my egg, I know I need to move this exactly half of the diameter of my box, which was 3 inches. So I need to move it exactly 1.5 inches towards me there. And now I can click OK here. So now we've got our box shape here. In fact, we've got a body that I can call box. And if I hide my box, it reveals my egg right inside of there. However, right now this box is just a solid object, right? But we want to be able to fill this box with some sort of material. And the other command that I kind of want to show you guys here is the shell command. So actually, you know what? Let's split this box in two pieces before we shell it. So I'm going to create a new plane. And I'm going to use that plane to cut this box in half. So if I come up here to the Construct menu and choose Offset Plane, so I'll click on Construct and then Offset Plane. Now I can take this, I can specify a plane that I want to offset from. So I'm going to click on the top, but you can easily click on the sides or the bottom. But I'm going to click on the top here, and I'm just going to move that arrow down, just like maybe an inch, maybe negative an inch. And then I'm going to say OK. And now I can use this plane that I've just made to cut this cube in half. So if I come up here to the Modify menu and choose to split a body, so Modify and then Split Body, I can click on the cube here in my drawing view, or I can click on the body that is my box in the bodies folder in my browser here. So either one of those will work. Then I can specify the splitting tool here. So it wants me to choose the plane that I just made. And again, I can pick that plane here in my drawing view, or in my construction folder, I've got this option that says it's the plane that I just created. So I can specify it in either location and then say OK. And you can see now I've got a box bottom and a box top. So I can turn off my box. In fact, I can name those things, right? So this is my box top, and this down here is my box bottom. Now if I wanted to hollow out that box, in fact, you know what, let's name our construction plane too. This is our box split. It's the plane we use to split our box, just so we have everything named and organized. Now if we want to actually hollow out this box, we can use one command, which is great. It's super handy. Boxes are pretty easy to hollow out with a number of methods, but there is an option here in the Modify menu for creating a shell. So I can create a shell, or use this shell command, and what this wants me to do, I can just stop moving my mouse here and it'll say select faces to remove or body to shell. So if I specify this body, or this face here, and then specify a thickness of my shell, let's make this like 0.125, just 1/8 of an inch. I can make this shell inside or outside. I'm going to make it outside. So now I got a little 1/8 of an inch walls that it's created around my box here. And I can say OK. Now I can do that very same operation to the top of my box. So I'm going to turn on the top of my box. I'm going to turn off the bottom of my box. And I'll do that same thing. I'll use this shell command. I'll come up to Modify, and then Shell. And then I'll specify that face there, and then give it a distance of 0.125, 1/8 of an inch for those of you over in metric land. And now we've got a box that's got a nice volume on the inside that'll fit our egg. Now you could make this box, you could print this box, or make it with some other method. and then fill it with whatever kind of padded material you wanted to add here, and use that to protect your egg on the way down. So there's another thing that I kind of want to illustrate when using the shell command as well. So if I turn off my boxes that I just made here, and I just have my egg visible, so here's just my egg shape, right? What if I wanted to make a shell around my egg that just kind of perfectly conformed to the shape of this egg that I drew? Well, I could do that using the shell command as well. So if I click on the modify menu here and come down to the shell option, there it is right there. Now the body here that I'm going to make a shell around, so I can either specify the faces that I want to make the opening of the shell, or I can specify a body that I want to shell. And that's what I'm doing in this case. So I'm specifying a body that I want to create a shell around. So if I click on that body here, I can either click on it in my drawing view again, or I can click on it in my bodies folder in my browser. And now I specify that same measurement, 0.125. It should be noted that in this case, I'm definitely making a shell the direction of outside of my egg, right? Because I've already got my egg shape. If I choose to make this shell inside my egg, then my egg won't fit inside of my shell anymore. So I definitely want to make this outside of my egg. And now I can say OK here. And now we can kind of verify that this is hollow on the inside. So the way that we verify that something is hollow is kind of by creating a cutaway view here. So in this inspect menu, we can choose this option that's called section analysis. And if I choose this section analysis tool and specify one of my planes, one of my drawing planes here, you can see that we've got a nice hollow egg there, which is cool. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, mine just gave me a FOAB. It says one error. The operation would cause a large topology change. Try adjusting the value or changing the input geometry.
Interesting. Let me come over and take a look at your...
I think it didn't like my spline. Okay, going back. All right. So modify, shell, base body select. Now when I go to outside, I first tried 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Then I tried a 1/16, and as soon as I enter any value,
What if you uncheck that tangent change?
okay,
Still not sure. On the large topology change. How big is that? Okay.
same size as yours.
Okay. All right.
Let's try 10/1000ths. Nope, even at 10/1000ths of an inch.
What if instead of specifying a distance, what if you just click and drag on that arrow? Does it...
Sure, we'll try that. Okay. Modify. Shell. Select. Nope.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't like the splines that you created.
All right.
So Mike was just having an issue where it was kind of swearing at him when he was trying to make his spline here, and it wouldn't let him make his spline. So, what we might want to think about doing at that point is if we right-click on our sketch that we use to make our shape here, and I say Edit Sketch. You might want to just try kind of like tweaking it a little bit. So, you know, try to, you know, tweak these splines a little bit. I think that the least amount of points as possible is best. So if you have a spline that's got, you know, 7 or 8 points on it, that might be too many. And you can click on them and you can delete them. And then have a little bit more of kind of a simplified spline. So it could be that it's just there's too many curves there and it can't compute what it needs to compute in order to create a shell. So having as simple a curve shape as possible certainly is a benefit. So you might want to try kind of tweaking those splines around if it won't let you make a shell. But we've got our shell here, and now we can use that same method that I used to kind of split my box in half, to split our eggshell in half here. So I can come up here to this create an offset plane option here, and I can specify a plane that is kind of that I'm going to use to offset. And now I can kind of drag this plane until I get it near the middle-ish of my egg. Say 1/4 of an inch or so. And now I can use that to cut my egg in half the same way I used it to kind of make a top and a bottom of my box there, just by clicking on Modify and then Split Body, and then specifying this eggshell that I made, and the splitting tool as that plane that I just made there. And now I have 2 halves of an egg that I could kind of insert my egg into and then close up, and now I've got a hard shell around my egg shape. So that's going to be it for today. Next week, we're going to talk about inserting some McMaster car components. So springs and nuts and bolts. Maybe we want to fasten these 2 shells together with some bolts. So we'll talk about ways that we can import some bolts from McMaster Car, which is great. McMaster Car has springs. They have nuts and bolts here. If I just type in spring, if I type in springs here, you can see there's all sorts of springs here. There's corrosion resistant springs, and the wonderful thing is most of the stuff on the McMaster Car site here is all modeled in 3D. So I use McMaster Car at work all the time. Like I can have an inner diameter of my spring that's, let's say, just over 1/4 of an inch, and now I can just insert this into my drawing. So we'll talk about this next week. We'll insert some McMaster Car components, show you how to find some stuff on McMaster Car, whether you're looking for springs or gears or whatever you want to add to our egg drop mechanism here. Between now and then, you can kind of make some sketches on your own, see if you can model an egg again, and we'll see you next week, Monday. Does anybody have any questions before we kind of wrap up? I'll kind of hang out after I stop the recording here and see if I can solve any issues that popped up as we were drawing here. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next week as we continue our Model Monday, Drop It Like It's Hard Boiled, egg drop modeling competition here. All right, we'll see you guys next week.